Hello and welcome back to another Fire channel. I'm Jay Bookstore, and I want to mention that this whole entire video is already filmed. I'm coming in here doing the edits and realizing that I did not do enough good job setting up this series. I'd also like to announce I did publish a book. This is just my little self-pub, and then we'll jump into the actual video. Called Gunshot Residue. It follows Alex as he believes his husband is cheating on him and realizes that some secrets should stay buried, then come out to the light. It is a romantic suspense adult romance trilogy. Book 1 of 3. Book 2 comes out on October 20th. It's called P49. They're very spicy, at least in my opinion. Links are down below in case you want to get it yourself. However, we are talking about novel versus adaptation today. So novel versus adaptation is where we pit a novel against its adaptation. I think it's pretty self-explanatory in that case. And we're going to dissect the book, and we're going to dissect the movie, and then we're going to combine both. Sometimes when I see a movie and I sit down and I do a review like this, I will start talking about the book interconnectedly. And so chapter times are kind of hard for something like this. However, I will try to keep some down below in case you're someone who wants to just hear about the movie, or hear just about the book, or hear about them combined. More likely when I start talking about the movie though, I'm going to start talking about them both. It's really hard not to, especially because 90% of the time I read the book first and then see the adaptation. However, there are a few cases that are going to be coming up where I've seen the adaptation first and haven't read the book, and so we'll see if it's the same case once I start talking about the book review. That being said, today's video is all about Caught Stealing. The novel is written by Charlie Hunton. Yeah, Hunton, I think is what the name is. And the movie is directed by Dan Aronofsky, starring Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, and a whole all-star cast. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. The first thing we're talking about is the novel. This is a story about how stealing is bad. So we have our main character. He is an ex-baseball player. He ended up getting hurt, and so he couldn't go league, but he is very invested in it. He has like a side thing named Yvonne, and he has a neighbor named Russ. Russ ends up dropping off his cat to him on one day and said, "Hey, just to give you a heads up, I'm going out of town for a little bit. Can you watch little Billy for me?" And he's like, "Totes, let's do this." And he said, "I don't like cats, actually." But he still did it. Then he gets jumped. He gets jumped, I think, maybe before he gets the cat. But anyway, the same people who jump him are after this cat as well, we learn. And the story follows the fact that this guy ended up pissing off like a bunch of different people, and it's the digression of violence that continues onwards. From everybody is in the crosshairs of this. And I do wonder, there's elements of the trailer which makes it seem like it's going to be a little bit different. For instance, Zoe Kravitz's character seems much more involved than she was in the book per se, and I do hope that's the case. In the book, she still like is someone who's there for him and who wants to help Austin Butler's character, but Austin Butler's character is very unlikable throughout the majority of it. Not to a point where it's a detriment, but it's a very interesting character choice that the author decided to go with to make the main character, who you have to kind of sympathize for, so unlikable. And so I don't get that vibe though. I get part of the reason why I wanted to see it was because he seemed like such a stand-up guy who was just put in a really shitty place. And this guy was already kind of shitty before the shitty place. So I'm curious to see where the balance is between that. And I feel like maybe either they improvised on set, or maybe Dan Aronofsky just did different things with the script. Going off of the trailer, once again, I have not seen the movie yet. I'll let you know when I do see the movie. I'm nervous to see this movie as well. On a tip side, there's slight spoilers. Well, I mean, there's full spoilers in this video. I'm just trying to be vague at the moment because I won't really dissect the book to movie until I see the adaptation. So there's a scene with a cat that involves really ranculous torture that I was nervous is going to be in the movie, because it is something Darren Aronofsky I feel like would do. And based on some images, the cat looks like it is in a cast for parts of this film, or the poster. It's very prominent on the poster, even the cat's own poster. So I wonder if that is a thing. I really don't want to experience that. I don't even know if they could do it the way that it's done in the book. The cat is very badly injured throughout this entire thing, because they believe that this cat holds meaning to this guy, and he's not saying no, because it does very much hold meaning. By the way, that's Caught Stealing in the vaguest possible way. Once again, we're going to jump into full spoilers here when you see me again. I will have seen the movie, and we can really deep dive into this dissection of madness that this story turned into. It's also the first of a trilogy. I don't know if I'll read the rest. I don't plan on making a video on them. It's something to take note of. Alrighty, let's come in here and finish out this Caught Stealing video. You know, honestly, I was expecting to have more to talk about, and I don't have a lot to talk about. I went and saw the movie a few days ago, at this point. I think it was Monday I went and saw the movie, and I loved it. I fucking adored Caught Stealing as a film. I personally, in my opinion, I don't even think this is really that shocking. I think it's better than the book itself. Written by the same person, so it's pretty much follows the exact same story beat. So I have nothing new to talk about except for the brilliant performance of Austin Butler. Austin and Zoe both have immaculate chemistry throughout the entire thing. For how much of Zoe's in it. Zoe has a pretty small role. And also, Bud the Cat was phenomenal, and as someone who talked about in the review, scared that Darren Aronofsky would take the cat scenes too far, in my opinion, they didn't go very far at all, which I am grateful for. That is not a complaint or a negative here. Also, this is the first Darren Aronofsky movie where I was like, oh my god, you could be kind of commercial. That's kind of crazy to me, because it's just not something I felt like he had in his repertoire, and so the fact that he does is a little crazy to me. Do we have to talk about here? Austin Butler brought so much to the role of Hank. In my opinion, the novel did a pretty good job of realizing this character, but Austin brought him so deeply to life in such a vulnerable way that I don't think a lot of movie actors would. I feel like a lot of movie actors would make Hank harder. And even though Hank is making some very difficult decisions and doing things that I do feel like are a bit more on the low end side of things. Right? I feel like in the novel, he goes a bit further into the realm of where he's dabbling his toes into. But with the movie, it's not so case. Also, it's just as violent. It's just as intense. However, there is this level of humor to it all that made everything kind of like a dark comedy in a way. So, which was also really, really nice. The ending is also vastly different. So that's something we can talk on. The ending in the book ends with Hank having the opportunity to work and be a part of an organization that he runs into. In the movie, he ends up alone with Bud in the middle of nowhere, happy as can be, rich as shit, which was a vastly different choice to make. However, I don't think Darren Aronofsky's in this camp of building a franchise and building multiple of these. I think he just wanted to make Caught Stealing, and Caught Stealing has 4 books that follow it, and he had no desire, and he was like, hey, I want to adapt your novel, I really like it, but could you write a full ending so this character's journey is over? And they're like, got you. Also, the way his hair was makes me do believe that this was an additional ending. I do wonder if it was going to end without him even leaving the city and leaving up to interpretation, and then I wonder if it didn't review very well, and so they added the ending of him in this beachy area at the very end. I wish I had more to say, but I don't. The movie was fucking phenomenal. I had some issues with the book, which we talked about, and almost all those were taken away. Also, Vincent D'Onofrio and Liv Schneider, I think is what the name is. The one from Scream. Also does a phenomenal job as brothers. I was not expecting that either. And it was brutal where it needed to be, but it wasn't super brutal either, at least in my opinion. However, I've been told many times this week I am extremely desensitized to violence. Tate does a great job. I felt like the book was pushing it in a lot of areas, so to be fair. Alright, that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you all next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.